Over the past week or so, we have seen what many have called the largest civil rights movement in history. We've seen protests all across the world for the singular purpose of black people having justice against police brutality in America. Now, some of these protests have been called riots, or there have been looters. So I want to kind of go through what I've seen over the past week. George Floyd's death was a touchstone moment. No one knows why these things happen. It could have been the close proximity of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and then George Floyd all happening with such undeniably vicious and unnecessary attacks on their persons that led to their deaths, that led to this worldwide eruption. I want people to understand it's not just about George Floyd. Of course, his name is important. His life was important. But he represents a systemic oppression that we have been fighting against since we've been here, like the entire time. Police brutality is something that we fought since before there were police, since they were slave catchers. And it brings to mind something that I see frequently, that people keep saying, that we are not our ancestors. That bothers me. I don't like that phrase, because our ancestors not only fought, many of them died so that we could be here. The horrors that they had to survive for us to be here, we should honor them for their bravery, for their courage. Were there some that may have put up with things that we don't think we would have? Perhaps. But there were many of them that bravely fought. There were many of them that took it to people. Do some research. Learn about all the slave revolts. People were not just accepting it. That is a false mythology, and I want people to really understand that this is a fight that we have been fighting forever. Now, what is new is social media. What is new is the evidence. What is new is the fact that everybody can see the injustice. We've always been talking about it. We've always been saying it. Now we have video footage, and even with the video footage over the last 10 to 20 years that people have seen, many people have denied it. Many people tried to say it was race baiting. But now, I think people are actually understanding that there is an actual systemic problem. How do you fix systems? We're fighting a fight that no one has ever really fought before. There's been a couple of isolated situations. I think that you could look at possibly Haiti in terms of fighting a system of slavery and actually winning. There's been a few successful slave revolts where, they actually won and it lasted. But it doesn't happen frequently, and not on this scale, because it's across the entire nation, and it is so embedded in American society that no one really knows how to fix it. So no one really knows what the cure is. So when you start to tell people how they should protest, when you start to say that they shouldn't be rioting, or they shouldn't burn down a police station, how do you know? What are you basing this on? We're trying to fight a problem that we've never fought before. I think that what we were doing was right. Look at the results. There's been a lot of legislation that have been put in the works that we've been asking for decades. They're removing Confederate statues. They're removing, the Confederate flag from the Marines. Like, there is symbolism of systemic. The NFL came out. Roger Goodell came out and said they were wrong. The way it's affecting brands and how they realized their stance was wrong, we have not seen that. Now, will we get the systemic change that we want? Will we get the legislation? Will we get the representation? Will we get the community activists in positions of leadership? Will we actually change this system? That's what's left to be known. That's what we're actually fighting for. That's why we have to continue to press on. Now, they try to discredit the movement by saying that there was rioters and looters, and I wanted to speak to that real quick. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about people co-opting the movement, either white supremacist groups or other groups that may be considered allies with taking upon themselves to fight their own battles in the name of what Black Lives Matter stands for, in the name of what we're fighting for, in the name of black equality, and not doing it the way that we would. All of that could be true. It's very easy to co-opt a mass protest. It's very easy to create chaos in situations like that. There's a lot of video evidence to say that that is possibly what's happening. Whether that is the case or not, it does not take away from the cause of the entire situation, which is systemic oppression, and that needs to be changed. And sometimes, and this is what people don't like to hear, but it's very true, sometimes violence is the answer. Sometimes you gotta burn stuff down. How did America become America? How did they break away? How did we end slavery? If you look at any meaningful change, there was fires in streets. So I'm hoping that these fires that we're looking at are signs of change. I'm hoping that we see significant change, and I'm trying to fight so that the system actually changes, so that the next generation can look at what we did and can live better lives and not have to worry about a police car pulling up behind them and them possibly not making it home. I want the next generation to be able to walk down the street without being stopped and frisked. I don't want them to worry about police brutality. I want the police to change, to protect and serve like their code says they should. Now, people always get up in arms. It's not all police. It's just a few bad apples. Listen, I have family that's police officers. I have good friends that are police officers. I know there's good cops. But the system is wrong. The way it's set up is wrong. That is what has to change. So, with that, we have to continue to fight in ways that are meaningful. We have to fight on the economy. We have to really come together and build up our economy, our economic power. We have to fight in the system. We have to get people in there that really understand where we're coming from, what we need, and put them in positions where they can affect change and hold them accountable when they get there. Because many people will just lie to us to get to the positions and then say, what can I do? That's not acceptable. We're not going to be dealing with that anymore. We also have to affect change within the system. We need to be writing bills. We need to be the ones that are putting legislation into practice. So these are the things that I challenge, my generation with. Like, let's really take this to the next step. Because that's how I look at this. This was just the first step. We got the eyes of the world on us now. Let's bring it home. Let's make some actual change that lasts forever. So if you have any ideas about how we can further this fight in a meaningful way, please drop them in the comments. Let's start this dialogue. We need to have more dialogue. I think that we need to have 5 to 10 points that we can put on a national platform and hold every candidate to. Please drop what your ideas are in the comments. Let's begin to have this dialogue. Let's begin to create this platform. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking, feeling about this entire situation. This has been an unprecedented time in history, and we need to be talking about this. Let's live in this moment and really try to process what's happening. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this dialogue, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.